Welcome to Living Your Best Senior Life. My name is Nancy Andre, and I am really excited to introduce you to the guest, my special guest today, the one and only Mike Fraini. He is a realtor at Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices here in Needham. Mike, it is so wonderful to have you here with us today.
Oh, what a treat.
Yeah, we've got
Absolutely.
lots and lots of things. We're just going to need to stay on track because, of course, I could talk to you all day. I love to start off each show with, tell me the why behind what you do. This
Sure.
just didn't happen, so I'm assuming something made a big difference and impact and wanted you to explore different real estate opportunities.
For me, it was two things. One, I was in corporate America for so long, and I loved it. I embraced it, software sales, and afterwards a leader in software. But I decided to make a change because I really wanted to dig into my passion of real estate. I wanted to, as a longtime Needhamite, my wife and I were both born and brought up here, I wanted to give back to the community in any way I can. I have children who are now adults. I have many friends who are now looking at downsizing, changing locations, etc. So to me, it's a very easy transition. And I get to talk about something I'm passionate about.
Which is huge, yeah, because how long have you been here in Needham? You said you were born here, right?
Born and brought up. I won't tell you how many years.
Wow, okay, we're not gonna, all right, we'll keep that one on the hush-hush. So as I said before, we've got so many different questions. This show is based and focused on around senior citizens and how we can best support any and all of their needs. Many of the viewers are thinking about whether they should stay or whether they should explore, the new living options. What are some signs that you can tell the audience about that seniors might be ready, to consider and make that next step?
Sure. I would say the biggest I come into is always, I'm an empty nester. The house is too big,
right.
Or my grandchildren no longer live near me, or my children have moved in a different part of the state, or they've moved somewhere else. So that's first and foremost. Second, a lot of times the house just becomes overwhelming. It's just too big. They don't want to maintain it. There's the physical aspect of keeping the property, paying the taxes financially.
Sure.
So at some point in time, people say, what am I going to do with this 10 to 15 room house where it's just my spouse and I, my partner and I? So that's the main reason. What I'm finding is when I get talking to a lot of folks who are looking to make the change, it really comes down to they want to be closer to their family.
Exactly.
Because people have branched out. And
Absolutely, absolutely. So family, and if they don't have family, very, very, very dear friends.
Oh, right,
right?
exactly.
Okay, just so that they have that sense of familiarity. You have supported so many longtime homeowners. Talk about the emotional and the practical challenges you see seniors face when they're getting ready to get their house sold.
Yeah,
It's definitely, we have lots of interesting little stories on the aside. Maybe we can actually share some.
Sure. Well, I can tell a story.
Yeah, tell a story. Go.
I would say, honestly, Nancy, the biggest problem, if you will, and the biggest hesitancy is it's so overwhelming. So, for example, most seniors, as I mentioned, they have all this stuff they've collected. It could be there's so many items in the children's rooms that they don't want to part with. It could be that there are just trinkets and memorabilia that they don't want to part with. And as time goes on, there is literally a cellar full of stuff. I went through this with my mother-in-law.
And nobody wants their stuff. They want their own stuff.
Right.
This is my, my quote that I say often. So.
Yeah.
Or at least to family and friends.
Exactly.
So.
And it's harder with seniors because it's their memory base, right?
Absolutely.
It's what reminds them every day. Another situation is, unfortunate as it sounds, is somebody may die. Somebody may no longer live in the home.
Right.
Now they're in that house all by themselves and they realize, I need to start looking at one of two things. I need to start looking at either something smaller or I need to look into a community, someplace that would be a lot more conducive to me waking up every day, having a purpose and socializing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Huge.
Which is the key to keeping us young, because age is just a chronological number.
That's it.
This has got to be a very, very difficult part of your job, coming up with the home the value of the home. It can be emotional, it can be offensive, it can be, and then of course you've got all these years of memories and everything else. How do you get the people that you're working with on the same page and to have a realistic understanding of what the market is, what's happening right now, and potentially what their house would be valued at and what we could list it at?
Exactly. So I'm so glad you asked that, because there's so many bad things that are going on right now, especially targeting seniors, A. B, there are so many software and websites that you can go to that will tell you something that just isn't true. So what I often say is...
Talk a little bit more on that. Are we talking scams?
Scams,
okay.
Absolutely. You want to touch on that for a while?
Let's talk on,
Absolutely.
Scams are horrible, horrible, horrible. And now it's not as if they're just targeting 65 and older, they're targeting 65 and under.
Yeah.
I know myself, I'm constantly getting emails or text messages, and I literally need to, should I click on this? Should I, what do you do? So.
Right. It's bad. And I'll tell you, there is a group out there, if you will, that all they do is they look for older properties that might not have been updated. It's very easy. You and I can do it.
Because it's public record.
It's public record.
It's exactly not hidden. It's not a secret.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, Joe could be living all by himself. He could be, living in a house that has some serious value. And when I say serious value, it's in the eyes of the beholder, right?
Yes.
Serious value may be what a lot of land that a builder or somebody could come along and create a beautiful new home. Something where, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to live in this neighborhood, here's a home, etc. But what's happening is, in the dark web out there's people who do all this research. They call and they lure the potential seller into a situation that is way undervaluing their home. And remember, they're doing that so they can get a piece of property in the Northeast, which is very attractive property.
Absolutely.
And they're offering them well below market value. So what I often say is, if anybody approaches you, the first thing you should do is call your trusted realtor. And even if you don't have a trusted realtor, call a trusted company, like Berkshire Hathaway. And you say, hey, I had been approached. Somebody offered me X for my property. Zillow says this, or whatever says that, or my son or daughter thinks it's worth this. At that point, I tell everyone, pump the brakes, don't engage, because you don't know these people. Somebody just offered you to buy your property and for you to send them your information, and they're going to send you a check.
And if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
It probably is.
It probably is. So nothing is free or cheap in life.
No.
So you suggest, because again, you and I both chatted about this, scams they're happening all the time, and now, like I said, we're seeing it on the real estate end of things. So contact, maybe if they're not comfortable or they're not working with somebody, just to contact one of the real estate companies that's been around for a while in the town that they live in, probably.
Exactly.
Okay.
Everybody knows a realtor. I mean, really, when you peel away the onion, if I wanted to move into your neighborhood, I would say, hey, Nancy, who knows your neighborhood better than you, and who can I work with? That's one thing.
Okay.
But the valuation is so important. I want to stay on that for a minute, because what happens is, you see the ads, we buy this, we buy ugly houses, we do that. I mean, at the end of the day, the project that they are trying to create is, I want to buy your home for as least amount as possible, and I want to sell it for as much as possible, or I want to flip it, or I want to do something.
Okay.
The point is that when you hire an attorney, you're paying for advice. When you hire a hairdresser, you're paying for advice and service. It's not unlike hiring a realtor. Like, my best interest is you and your scenario. And that scenario may be, I just need to get rid of this house, I want to move to California. Or it might be, hey, I need the money. And, we've had situations where, people, that is their number one asset. It's their number one savings, if you will. So they need to maximize the value of that. You need to have somebody, not only a realtor, but an estate attorney. You need people to advise you.
Yes.
So that you make the right
experts
decision.
in their area.
Bingo.
Exactly. Okay. No, and that's a huge thing. So, just from my what should I say, very little experience that I have as far as just from a realtor end of things. I know that usually you come up with a competitive marketing analysis,
Yep.
and that's typically what you would present to the person that is contemplating whether they should sell their house or not.
Right.
It's not like we just pull numbers out of the air.
Correct.
Also in Needham, which we are talking about Needham today,
Yeah.
it's just the housing market is insane here in this town.
It's so valuable right
It's so
now.
valuable.
And my advice to everyone is, if you are on the selling side of the equation, you absolutely want to maximize the value you can get for your asset.
Mm-hmm.
And again, many people will go for the quick buck, if you will. They'll say, somebody offered me a check for X, and I'm just going to take it and go. Where in fact, if you talk to someone like me and you say, okay, hey Mike, I was offered X, what do you think?
Right.
And then we develop a relationship. I do that analysis you talked about. Because remember, everybody has a value in their mind, but it's all what the market will bear.
Absolutely.
If you're selling your car, it's all what the market will bear, right?
Yeah. And anyone can say, I can get you this, but saying that and actually delivering on it are two different things.
Exactly.
So it's, okay, another thing that I've had several people say to me is, chatting with them and talking about, well, maybe you need to think about getting the house on the market. And I'm specifically talking about Wingate right now because we have a wonderful group of people that are going to be getting ready to move in for spring of 26. So many of them say to me, well, the house is a mess, or I still have all this stuff. And I haven't decided who I'm working with yet as far as a move-in coordinator or a move manager or what have you. What's your advice there as far as to, what can you offer out there to our viewers?
Absolutely. So it is so overwhelming when you think about it. Again, going back to my original scenario, the 10 to 15 room home, there's furniture, there's mementos, there's silverware, there's dinnerware, there's, oh gosh, I mean, everything from the drape covers all the way to the oriental rugs, maybe,
Right.
And it's like, what do we do with all this, right? A, B, the basement and the attic, what are we going to do with all that? So what you want to do is you don't want to hire a realtor to just sell the property. You want to hire somebody who has a network behind them.
Absolutely.
You want, I'm going to use the word declutter. That's my wife's favorite
Oh, yeah,
word.
it's a great one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
You need to see, okay, a couple of things. If some of these are of value, let's determine the value and let's see if we can move them along. First and foremost, use your family. Like, hey guys, we're doing X, who wants what? And have them come in, have a big weekend party, everybody cleans it out. Secondly, there's companies out there, they're like declutterers, right? So they'll come in and they'll say, okay, we're gonna take all this out, and if you decide to sell the property, minimum is best. So again, when you walk into somebody's home, think about your own scenario. You walk in, your first impression is, oh my God, there's so much stuff in here. You know what I mean?
It's stressful.
It's stressful.
So.
And it is overwhelming. I can't tell you, I had a property, I was selling a property in an over 55 community in Dedham, and there was a woman who actually lived nearby. She was ready. She lived in a great neighborhood in a big house. All the kids are gone. Husband, unfortunately, needed some assisted living. So she's all alone in this big house. And the thing she kept saying to me every time I had a conversation, Mike, I just don't know where to begin. And I said, you know what? Let me come over. Let me explain what I would do.
Right.
I said, because the do is twofold. One, we want to make sure that you get rid of what you don't need, don't want, okay?
Right.
And B, if we're going to sell this property, we need to get it ready for sale. And at that point, less is more, especially when you're photographer.
Absolutely. The photography piece, I mean, it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
Safety and accessibility are absolutely so important. What features, and now we're looking at the other end of things, but what features do seniors usually tend to look at when they're getting ready to explore other homes or condos, communities?
Yep. Boy, there's so much. And again, I went through this. I still have, my mother-in-law is 104 years old, God bless her. Honest to God.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah. And she asked me every day, what'd you sell this week?
Oh, my goodness. I didn't even know that. That's incredible.
Yeah, no, she's wonderful. She's wonderful. But
wow.
I went through it with my dad, my mother, my dad, my father-in-law. and even friends of mine. So you should look for a couple of things. Remember, it's where do you want to be, right? So if you want to be in a complex or any type of home, you need what I call the interior safety features. Are there handrails?
Yes.
Are there safety devices around the area? Is it a tub or is it a walk-in shower? Because again, you hear people climbing into a tub, something can happen, especially at an older age.
Oh, it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. Is it a gas-fired range, which might be a danger for somebody who has some memory issues, as opposed to an electric range? Yeah. So you want to look at the interior of that. If it's a condominium complex or any type of community, you want to make sure there's a concierge. That you want to make sure that at some point in time, if I need help, I need to just make a quick phone call or hit 0 and somebody's going to come attend to me. For physical safety, right? If you are moving into a new home, is it remote? Are people around you to help you out if, God forbid, there's a problem?
Absolutely.
If it's a complex or if it's community, you want to make sure that the neighbors are attentive. And more importantly, if X, what do I do? And there's a very clear, specific guideline as to my physical safety, whether it be fire, a break-in, water.
Right,
somebody
right.
blows a pipe upstairs.
Oh God, yeah. That's what we're seeing a lot more of that right now, as far as with moving into an independent living community, and people want to know. They want neighbors. Yeah. They want a concierge. They want security. They want to know, God forbid, what if?
Yeah.
And the what ifs happen all the time. They want to have a sense of peacefulness and feeling like they know what they need to do. Or as simple as just having that having those neighbors, living in an independent living, having those neighbors that every day at 10 o'clock,
Right.
Nancy opens the door and goes out and gets a cup of coffee, but I haven't seen Nancy yet. What do we do?
Right.
So that's a big one.
So let's talk about that for a minute.
Let's do it.
I had a gentleman who was leaving Needham. He was selling a very big home in Needham. And I started taking him around. I said, hey, let me show you a couple of places in the area. And what I've learned, Nancy, is that even though there are over 55 communities, some of them are very young and vibrant with a lot of activity.
Yes.
Some of them are very old, stodgy, and nobody really does anything.
Yes.
And what I've noticed is there's always a couple of groups. There's the morning coffee crowd. There's the afternoon exercise crowd. There's the book club. There's the 4 p.m. wine and cheese group. And you want to make sure, I visited your property is just aces.
You're so right, though, with the different groups.
Right.
It's right
true.
on, yeah.
And, some people don't want to sit in their home all day and maybe just go out and get the mail. Some people want to, here in Needham, we have that beautiful center in the Heights, right? Like, there are so many people. I go in there all the time. There's so many people I know that I grew up with. They're my friends' dads now. And they're like, this is a godsend for me.
Because it's so alive.
Bingo.
It's so alive in there. And every time you walk in there, you see all these wonderful smiling faces and people that actually do care when they ask how your day was. They wanna know what the answer is, and they it just makes such a difference.
Yes.
So right there with you. I couldn't agree with you more.
And again, that's where you need somebody who knows the game to advise, right? Again, what I've learned, just to back up a little, what I've learned in my sales career is that in software, right, I'm introducing you to something new. I'm introducing you to a new concept, a new way of doing business. So I have to not only introduce you to this new concept and how it's going to make you more efficient or more, profitable, et cetera, but also it's not a personal decision. What I've noticed with talking to, anybody, whether it be a first-time home buyer or a downsizer, is that when I walk you into a home, immediately, there's no selling. I'm not selling you, right? What I'm doing is I'm helping you purchase the home, right? You're either going to like it
or you're not. You're going to get a feeling that this is home. This is a wonderful place. I've got, you got the goosebumps and everything going. Or not.
Exactly.
And it's like, this is not a good
And you're going to
fit.
leave, I always say to people, I say, go home, have dinner, talk about it, and then let's have a conversation tomorrow. And I'm going to ask some detailed questions. And then the questions are, okay, do you see yourself living here? If so, why? Let me tell you some of the things I know about this place. Let me tell you about the area. Let me tell you about this. How do you feel now? And that's why you want an advisor. You don't want somebody to sell you something.
Yeah.
You need somebody to help you, advise you, and nurture you through the process.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. This is not one of the questions you and I had discussed, but this is definitely something that comes up as well. I'm talking to various prospects that are going to be moving into Wingate, and I always say, get it on the market, get this all taken care of sooner than later. Their concern is, and they're saying, but suppose somebody comes in and says, I have to have this house, and I don't have anywhere to go for 4 months. What is your I mean, I can tell you what I say to them, but I'm curious as far as just from, the real estate expert, what would you say?
I would say that everything is negotiable. Everything.
That's okay.
And for that, let's just say the window is 6 months, right?
Okay.
6 months is a long time, right? Well, let's say you walk into a property, you love the property, you put an offer in on it, a week later you sign the P&S, and typically it's 30 to 45 days, typically. Okay, so now we're looking at maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months tops. But let's say, in a situation that you and I are familiar with, somebody wants to sell their home, they want to do it sooner than later so that they can understand, okay, I don't know when I'm getting into Wingate when it's done, but there's going to have to be a contingency. And that's my job, is to write a contingent plan.
Exactly.
So for example, it could be something as simple as, okay, we are going to purchase your house for X, or we're going to sell this house to you, but here's the deal. We may not be able to move out until March 1, April 1, et cetera.
I am so glad that you just said that, and just the way you delivered it to me was very easy and very relaxed, and it's not, but again, for somebody that does not know, and this is not their business, they wouldn't know. And then you just want to make sure that you're protected, and that obviously we have a place to stay and don't have to go to a hotel. So
that's true.
Wanted to talk about the financial. The financial side of moving can feel overwhelming, as you and I both know. What advice do you give seniors about handling the proceeds of a home, the sales, the taxes, and planning for their new life?
Assemble a team. And the team should be, at minimum, you're a realtor, you want to understand what do I have for an asset, what's it worth. You should have your estate planning attorney. Typically there's already one. Many people have created trusts, so they have an estate planning attorney, and your financial advisor. Because at the end of the day, you're going to come into some money. Now you have to deal with, what's my capital gains issue? What's my taxation issues? How does this affect my pension, my retirement? I have all this money coming in, yet I'm putting some out to the next phase. You need a team behind you to advise you on that. You should not go that alone.
I agree, and I also think that it's really important supporting and looking to get this team local, going local first. So if you live in the town of Needham, I think this is part of the reason why I was so happy to be connected with you, because born and raised, you know everybody in town, but that's huge, because anything that I may need, especially coming, going through this incredibly stressful, crazy process, chances are you're going to have somebody, regardless if something needs to be done, fixed in the house or whatever it may be, you're going to have somebody to connect me with.
100%.
So
we joke about it. Again, like it was Thanksgiving, so I saw all my high school buddies. Man, on Saturday I had lunch with my Hillside school buddies. I mean, that's how Needham.
Is that elementary school?
That's elementary school.
Jesus,
it's now
really?
the Sonita, my point is that if you're from Needham, it's very unique, okay? And the one thing you can always hang your hat on is your reputation precedes you, being from Needham. And again,
I love that you're saying this, because this is great. Go on.
It's so true. And if I treat somebody right, or if I treat somebody wrong, it's my reputation. And everybody knows me. I raised 3 daughters in their town. They're adults. My wife is active in everything. I was active in everything. Your reputation is very important, especially from Needham. A. B, because of that, I have people I can call on that I know are going to be good fits for each individual person. There are some people that just might not mesh with this person. we all know many attorneys.
Absolutely.
We all know many realtors. We all know many financial planners. But at the end of the day, if I can recommend somebody to some other person, and they not only develop a great business relationship, but a great friendship,
oh yeah,
then I've done my job.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, now we get to the really fun part. I got to talk a little bit quick because again, I could talk to you all day. Family dynamics. Obviously, we know that plays a huge role in decisions. How do you help seniors and their families, and what's the fine line? Because I know whenever I'm working with anybody that is older or has earned their stripes, to call them a senior, I want to be very respectful as I'm listening to them, because it's their house, everything's in their name, et cetera, et cetera. However, there's a bunch of different things going on, and then I've got the family sitting over here and telling me something different. It's a really uncomfortable situation, but a very common situation.
Yeah.
What's your advice, thought? How do you handle it?
Yeah.
How do you handle it? You've got, so-and-so, you're coming over to do a first meeting with somebody, and they've got their 6 kids there from all different states, all different types of personalities.
Right. Well, again, I think it depends on you or I, right?
Okay.
Like, I think you and I possess that very patient, caring, nurturing demeanor, if you will.
Yes, we do.
Again, people can smell. I don't want to use the word on TV. You know what I'm talking
But yeah,
about.
I do.
They can smell that.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, and I have seen situations very recently where, a dad and a daughter now don't speak because daughter was living in the home, dad was living in the home. Dad's like, this home is too big. Daughter was annoyed, right?
Yeah.
Because now
Because you're inconveniencing her.
Yes. And
Okay.
at the end of the day, it all comes down to having a plan, presenting the plan. But remember, at the end of the day, the person who owns the home, or let's just stay with seniors, the family should say what's best for dad, what's best for mom, what's best for the both of them. And you can't change people's perception. And unfortunately, money's a big motivator for some people, and that's a shame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can be the root of all evils, as I'm sure you and I both. That could be another show for another time.
Exactly. Part-time therapist.
Right, part-time therapist, which we all are.
Yes.
Let's see, I have one more quick question, and then we do need to wrap it up. For the seniors who are just really, really beginning to think about their next chapter, what is one thing that you would leave them with after watching this show?
Yep.
One thing.
One thing I would say learn the game. And it's not one person going to teach you the game, right? They should talk, as I mentioned, they should be talking to their financial advisor. They should be talking to their estate attorney. Most importantly, they should be talking to their family, if family's still around.
Exactly.
And in a situation where you're going to sell an asset or you're going to buy an asset as large as a piece of property, you need to talk to a real good realtor who knows the area, is very patient, and is customer-centric, not sales-centric.
Love it. Okay. Mike, thank you so much for being with us today. I have actually learned so much just from all the wonderful information that you just shared. So now, the really important stuff. How does somebody get in touch with you?
Oh, very simply. You can look me up. I'm on Facebook, Mike
Fraini.
Yep. I work here in Needham at the Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices on Great Plain Avenue.
Okay. And if anybody can also reach out to me for your phone number, but why don't you just give your cell phone number out there, if that's okay,
Sure,
or your email address, whatever you're comfortable with giving.
Yep. Best email is mike.fraini at commonmoves.com.
Perfect. Easy.
And cell is best. You can text or call 781-552-1169.
That's easy.
Yep.
Or just around the streets of Needham.
Or just ask anybody.
With a cup of coffee.
Where's Fraini?
Thank you, and thank you. Until next time, thanks for watching Living Your Best Senior Life.